večer i hvala što ste s nama. Ne postoji ništa što je tako snažno utjecalo na povijesne događaje posljednjih 100 godina kao borba za kontrolu nad svjetskom naftom. Tim je riječima naš večerašnji gost još ranih devedesetih započeo svoju slavnu knjigu svjetski bestseler Stoljeće, rata. Ovaj najpoznatiji suvremeni analitičar ekonomskih i političkih zbivanja svakom na svojom knjigom iznova podsjeća da uz onu službenu postoji skrivena paralelna povijest svijeta. S nama u studiju je Engdahl. Gospodine Engdahl, iznimno mi je drago da ste našli vremena i došli u naš studio. Prije nego što predstavimo vašu knjigu koju ćete predstavljati i u Zagrebu, htjela bi da malo možda ostanemo u jednom općem osjećaju kojeg čovjeka obuzme dok čita vaše knjige. To je jedan, vi dakle radite prilično strašnu analizu svjetskog poretka, razotkrivate možda jednu paralelnu povijest koja nama često nije vidljiva i čovjek se osjeća prilično uznemiren, čak i vrlo pesimističan nakon tih knjiga. Ja bih htjela da krenemo možda i obrnutim putem i da krenemo s nečim vedrim, odnosno pitanjem. Postoji li danas uopće na svijetu neki razlog za optimizam? Postoji li neki sretan kutak na svijetu koji nije premrežen sa ovim crnim prognozama i ako postoji, gdje se on nalazi?
Well, I think what we're seeing and what I describe in my books, the reason I write the books, is that the system that was created is actually with the British Empire, but then transformed into the American century, as they called it, after World War II, is collapsing. That world order is collapsing. And in that collapse process, if people, governments around the world understand how fundamental this collapse is, then we can talk about something more positive as an alternative. So I find this a tremendously exciting time to be alive and to be writing about all these things, economics, politics, geopolitics, history, and so forth, because it is that shift. And when you have a shift of an era or an epoch, wonderful new things are possible that weren't possible before. So I think it's a good time to be alive.
Nedavno je u Zagrebu trajala jedna konferencija na Subverzivnom festivalu na kojoj su brojni mislioci i teoretičari prognozirali budućnost Europe, bavili su se ključnim pitanjima današnje Europe. Htjela bi da vi, evo nama, jednoj zemlji koja stoji pred vratima te Europe, kažete kakvom vi vidite našu budućnost tamo, hoće li se ta zajednica možda i raspasti, je li narušena, kakvo je trenutno stanje?
Well, the European Union, there are two aspects. One is the Union, and the other is the Eurozone countries. The Eurozone was built on a faulty model from the beginning, and that was known. Goldman Sachs and the Wall Street banks, the U.S. Treasury, and so hit that Achilles heel of the euro with the Greece crisis in 2009 in order to prevent the euro from replacing the dollar in world trade and as world reserve currency. That's an extremely important geopolitical issue for Wall Street and for Washington. But the crisis in the euro, to my mind, is a more fundamental, I spoke just a minute ago about this tectonic shift in the world power structures. And the crisis in the euro reflects the fundamental crisis in the orientation of European industry, the European elites, because there are establishments in every European country that think they're making policy, whether they continue their Atlantic relationship with the United States as the primary relationship, which I maintain is doomed, or whether they reorient toward Eurasia. And there is a market, there is a technology base, raw material base for absolutely everything that Europe needs, and also everything Europe has, Eurasian countries need to modernize the Russian economy, to modernize the economies of Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and the whole region of Central Asia. The same with China. China is building rail bridges, land bridges, they call it. The old Silk Road is one of the models, but to link with high-speed rail transit, to make the entire Eurasian continent an economic whole rather than the transport toward the United States markets, which are in a depression currently. So I think the future of Croatia in the European Union is tied to the future of the European Union vis-a-vis the rest of the world? And that's a critical question right now. I think the elites, the powerful families that stand behind governments in Europe, if you want to call them that, they're schizophrenic right now, and they have been for several years. They realize that the foundations of what were post-war America, the American dream, is a nightmare, that it's collapsed with the 2007 financial crisis. That wasn't merely a real estate crisis in America. That is a fundamental breakdown crisis because the industry has been outsourced to Asia, to parts of Europe, to Eastern Europe, Russia. America no longer manufactures things. Perhaps drones are one thing, or apps for iPhones, but that's about all, unfortunately, sadly, that America makes nowadays. But Europe still makes things. And I think that is the basis for the future of Europe, to create new markets. There's no such thing as a free market. That's a myth of Milton Friedman and modern economics. But to build new markets